black quarterback debate. I'm flying out to Las Vegas on Thursday, and we get news that right before the draft, Lamar Jackson signs a monster contract with the Baltimore Ravens. And what that means is I believe it's five of the six highest paid quarterbacks in the history of football are now black. Okay? Because there's been this argument out there that a lot of people have tried to make a living off of by saying, oh, the NFL is racist. The NFL is horribly racist. All of its owners are racist. All the teams are racist. All the fans are racist. The NFL's racist, right? This is a left-wing identity politic-fueled argument whereby, and you probably heard it, they don't actually give you any evidence, but they just trot out the, oh, so-and-so is racist, oh, this is so indefensible, all those things, right? So the data never supports it. But now we've got 5 of the 6 highest paid players in the history of the NFL are black quarterbacks, okay? On top of that, the first 3 quarterbacks that were taken in the NFL draft this year, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all black, all taken in the top 5. The only 3 quarterbacks, by the way, to go in the first round. Will Levis, we talked about, falls to the second round. I think he's going to be a bust. I think he's a disaster. Of course, the Titans drafted him. There is now no legitimate basis whatsoever for anyone talking about sports or anyone attempting to talk about sports to be able to argue that the NFL is racist against black quarterbacks. I always told you this was laughably absurd. The NFL is the ultimate meritocracy. You get paid what you deserve based on what you do on the field. Now that we have 5 of the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks of all time being black, first 3 picks, 3 of the first 4 picks overall, black quarterbacks in this past year's draft. The only quarterback who had to sit throughout the entire first round and wait for his name to be called, actually Will Levis, who got so frustrated he left Kansas City and waited to be drafted from home by the Titans. Okay? It's impossible to argue the NFL is racist. It's impossible. Now, that doesn't mean that the usual race baiters aren't going to try, but if you see this argument made, 5 of the 6 highest paid of all time, now black quarterbacks, top 3 of 4 picks this year, black quarterbacks, the argument's not been legitimate for the entire 21st century, frankly. And I'm saying this as a guy who grew up in Tennessee. T. Martin wins a national championship for Tennessee in 1998. Steve McNair takes the Tennessee Titans to the Super Bowl in 1999. I never even knew anybody who ever argued against someone playing quarterback based on their race. I'm being honest with you. I've never heard that argument in my entire life. But as a fan growing up, T. Martin, 98 national champ, Steve McNair, Super Bowl, Tennessee guy, it's kind of hard to argue against black quarterbacks just based on results. Okay? But the entire 21st century, you could go through and pick out any number of examples of the NFL taking black quarterbacks just as seriously as any other race. And what I have argued for a long time is this: all NFL teams care about is winning. If you were a green transgender midget, Bill Belichick would draft you to play quarterback in a heartbeat if he thought you could win a Super Bowl. And everybody out there, if you could win, they don't care about you at all, anything other than wins. Great example of that. Deshaun Watson hasn't even won that much. Gets accused of sexually assaulting 30 women. Jimmy Haslam signs him to the biggest contract at the time in the history of NFL quarterbacks. Jameis Winston, accused of rape, goes number 1 overall. Jamarcus Russell, really not a lot of great evidence about how good of a quarterback he was going to be. Turns out, what did he have, like a drug addiction? Number 1 overall. If teams think you can win, they will look over anything and draft you highly, right? Whole 21st century. The anti-black quarterback argument has been embarrassing for anybody who trotted it out because all the NFL cares about, as Al Davis said, just win, baby. It's the ultimate meritocracy. But that argument, anti-black quarterbacks, gone forever. And by the way, if you even pointed this out on the flip side, right? If you pointed out that the media was turning this into a story that wasn't justified, remember they fired Rush Limbaugh for saying that people were rooting for Donovan McNabb because of his race, because they wanted to see black quarterbacks succeed. You got fired for saying that. You get promoted for saying the NFL's racist. You get fired if you say, hey, the NFL actually is rooting for black quarterbacks to succeed. That's how unbalanced the equation is in terms of honesty and discourse. And this ties in. You know, I don't watch a lot of sports on television analysis. I watch a lot of games. But on Friday, I was out in Vegas, and I woke up, and I didn't have the Clay and Buck show, because usually in the morning I'm preparing for my radio show. So I'm not sitting around watching a lot of the talk shows and things like that. I'm reading. I'm making sure I devour all the latest news. But I didn't have a show to do on Friday. And you know, we had a totally chill morning. And so I put on ESPN, and I was watching their analysis of the NFL draft. And what I saw confirms why OutKick is dominating. There is so much fear of being targeted on social media that almost everybody agrees on everything. There was nobody out there beating the drum saying Will Levis should be the overall number one pick. He's the best by far guy I saw on film. Now, I think that would be crazy because I watch a lot of college football. But you have gotten NFL people on TV so afraid of being called racist that almost nobody will even say anything negative about C.J. Stroud, about Anthony Richardson, or about Bryce Young. Yet the data reflects that like half of first-round quarterbacks, no matter their race, are going to end up total busts. But left-wing Twitter has so come after people and accused them of racism that you can't even really have a debate in sports anymore. It's like, well, if you have a take that is anywhere outside the consensus, you're racist, you're sexist. Like, it's really wild. There was this argument for a long time that social media was going to lead to a flourishing of the marketplace of ideas. What it's actually led to, and I talk about this some in my new book that's coming out in August, American Playbook. What it's actually led to is a rush to consensus. Everybody has to end up with the same opinion, or else there is calamity afoot.